Welcome to the Temple of Limitless Light, guided visualization of Geburah, where we continue our adventures pathwalking on the Tree of Life. Tonight's adventure will be the Sephra, or the Temple of Geburah, which is the more challenging Sephra. It deals with their judgment, our will, attributed to the planet Mars. Very powerful energy, and sometimes it's energy which we all need. For me, I've had a very Martian day, getting a lot done. So what the guided visualization will look like is first we'll do some belly breathing and Kabbalistic cross to sort of align ourselves. Then I'll do a quick LBRP, lesser banishing ritual of pentagram, to create the safe space where this can take place in. Back up a little bit. And then I will open the gate to the passageway to Geburah, and then we'll follow the guided visualization.
I'll read that first.
Right, and you'll read it first before I do any of the ritual.
The description.
Yes, we'll have a description describing Geburah from the Cicero's book, Garden of Pomegranates. They rewrote Cicero. They're wonderful. They have a website, Golden Dawn Books. If you buy them from them, a lot of times they come signed. So, and if you'd like to be involved in adventures like this, you can join us on Facebook. I'll put the link in the description. You're always welcome, and there are people here in the temple who are watching via Zoom, and you could be too, asking questions. Are you ready?
Geburah is the fifth Sephirah and the sphere of severity and might. Other titles given to this sphere are justice and fear. The severity of Geburah is the purging and purifying fire of God that burns away all that is obsolete and useless. It is a holy and cleansing fire. This sphere rules the forces of change, which destroys the old to make way for the new. The fifth Sephirah bestows a great energy force, initiative, courage, and critical judgment. Mars, the planet of war and great energy, is attributed to this sphere. The fifth, in the Sefer Yetzirah, it says the fifth sphere is also called the radical intelligence because it resembles the unity, unifying itself to the Bina, or intelligence, which emanates from the primordial depths of wisdom, or Chokmah. The word radical here implies basic or fundamental. Here the texts tell us that Geburah, the radical intelligence, resembles unity, one of the titles of Kether. Geburah's dynamic action, overflowing into the world of form, bears a close relationship to the overflowing force of Kether, which is the source of all manifestation. In addition, unity also implies the uniting of a new and distinct polarity in the spheres of Chesed and Geburah. Geburah unites itself to the Bina because it is the same restrictive feminine energy of Bina on a lower, more manifest level. Geburah is without a doubt the least understood and the most feared Sephirah on the Tree of Life. However, the natural order of the universe depends on the concepts of keeping opposites in balance. Thus, the benevolence, mercy, and form-building functions of Hesed are now equilibrated by the harsh, destructive actions of the fifth sphere. Geburah's duty is to break down the form issued by Chesed and apply discipline in the manner of purging fire. Any energy that makes its way down the Tree of Life into the material world must be tested and tempered by the opposites of mercy and severity. It must be cleansed by the fires of Geburah. All impurities must be burned away, just as the blade of a strong sword must be tested by the fires of the metalsmith's furnace. Only in this way can the energies be fashioned as a sturdy vehicle for manifestation. Geburah is the strong arm of God, commanding respect and burning away all that is useless or outmoded. The harsh, destructive action of this sphere is absolutely vital to further evolution. The energy of Geburah is not an evil force unless its essence spills over from justice to cruelty. Geburah is essentially a conciliatory power that restricts the merciful love of Hesed. Without the powerful force of Geburah, the mercies of Hesed would deteriorate into frivolity and weakness.
Interesting. It's always wonderful seeing the Cicero's Kabbalistic cross. First, let's have some deep breathing, some belly breathing, breathing from the bottom of your abdomen. Just relaxing and letting the exhale flow as it may. Feel the weight of your body on your feet or on your sit bones, wherever you're sitting or wherever you are. Just sink into your body and feel your own weight. Just being present with your weight and your breathing. Now, imagine yourself growing larger and larger, up through the roof, through the atmosphere, past the moon, and into deep space, till the earth is but a small ball beneath your feet. Above your head is a ball of pure brilliance. Touch the light and bring it down to your forehead, vibrating. Bring the light down to your heart center, where you can say the name of your inner guru, or Adonai. Bring the light down through the center of your being, through past your feet to the very fiery core of the planet. So you're standing in a column of light and vibrate. Bring the light up to your left shoulder, imagining a ball of blue flame representing the energy of Hesed, unconditional love. Bring the light across your chest, your right shoulder, imagining a ball of red flame representing Geburah, power of the will. Geburah, Leolam, Amen. Lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram to create sacred space. Yehovah. Exar. Die. Ome. Maya. Ah, eh, ah, ah, yeah. Before me. Raphael behind us. Gabriel at her right hand. Michael at our left hand. Uriel. For around us flame the pentagrams, and within us shines a six-rayed star. Oh, it's strong. Opening of the gate of transformation. I open the gates between worlds. I summon the guide who will lead us beyond that which is known and into the underworld. I open the gates between worlds. I invoke the fierce guardian, which shall bar our way and test us. If we fear, then we shall be turned back. I open the gates between worlds. I invoke the ordeal that we must overcome in order to gain the boon of insight within ourselves. I open the gates between worlds. I open the gate of Geburah. The call of pathworking, or Geburah. O el vino de unsa, de ael daciani e eoni, antara camis alahote dea azonizoda, Geburah, o el Sigle, aqua anta lo selque, wel in romi eo ide a goholote ka hilante, do a mouth de yadna, alo in laneshi, o do al o wano anim, o do al belam, o do al omo noas, o do al gia hei. Gate of Geburah is open. The now familiar temple of Malkuth formulates around you. The central flame burns brightly with the renewed passion on the central altar. As before, you intone the names which call forth the inhabitants of this temple. Adonai, oops.
So on 370,
Okay.
the second paragraph.
Okay. Yeah, I got it.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's okay.
It's very confusing today. Wearing the symbol of the pentagram around your neck,
Hold the pentagram up so you can see it.
you enter the temple of Malkuth, vibrating the appropriate divine names and giving the usual signs. You will quickly ascend the path of Tao up to Yesod and the path of Samek to Tiphereth, before rising up the path of Lamed and following it to its conclusion. You find yourself standing at the end of an emerald green path of Lamed, facing the door to the astral temple of Geburah. A large red door is before you. Carved into this door is the Hebrew letter Gimel, painted in green. Giving the projection sign, you step through the door into Geburah. Once inside, you give the sign of silence. The temple of Geburah is shaped like a pentagon. The walls of the room are covered with red tapestries of medieval knights in various scenes. Knights fighting on horseback, seated at a round table, swearing allegiance to king and country, and gathered around the image of the Grail. The ceiling is made of pure ruby, ornamented with a central pentagram of emerald. The floor of the sanctuary is engraved with a green pentagram as well, and the temple flame burns very bright atop the red central altar. The chamber smells of tobacco.
Seeking to announce your presence and call forth the inhabitants of the Sephirah, you vibrate the divine name Elohim Gibor, and the name of the archangel Kamael. And then you call on the order of angels known as the Seraphim. Thick clouds of smoke billow up from an unseen source in the east of the sanctuary. An angelic figure materializes within the clouds to face you across the altar. It is a robust, masculine being, dressed from head to foot in red armor and chainmail. A green pentagram is emblazoned on his breastplate, and a green cap is pulled back over his shoulders. Enormous red and green wings outline his head like a halo. Long red hair and a neatly trimmed red beard frame his face. In his right hand, he carries a great sword. Kamael, he who sees God, regards you with red eyes that seem to bore right through to your soul. He addresses you.
You have entered the realm of the radical intelligence, the abode of severity and fear. By what symbol dost thou enter herein?
By the symbol of the pentagram which I wear upon my breast.
Kamiel responds, the pentagram is a powerful emblem of spirit which guides, unites, and dominates the other four elements. It is a worthy symbol for the realm of strength.
Facing the archangel across the altar, Kamael directs your attention to the temple flame burning brightly in a bowl carved from ruby. The flame flares suddenly, and the room around you becomes translucent. The temple fades from view. It is replaced by a swirling mass of red clouds. Against the backdrop of red clouds, an image comes into view, the flaming sword. You hear the voice of Kamael speaking to you.
Be warned, O vainglorious one. The Lord is a man of war. Lord of armies is his name. It is written, the voice of the Lord is powerful. The voice of the Lord is full of majesty. The voice of the Lord breaketh the cedars of Lebanon. The voice of the Lord divideth the flames of fire. The voice of the Lord shaketh the wilderness of Kadesh.
The image of the flaming sword morphs into the image of a serpent coiled around a tau cross. Then there is a flash of light, and the image is gone. You find yourself standing in the middle of a vast desert. There is little vegetation of any kind and no visible source of water anywhere. There is only one thing that catches your attention, a metal pole with a T-shaped top that has been shoved into the ground. Wrapped around the top of this pole is a serpent made of brass, a peculiar item to find in the middle of the desert. In the distant skies, you notice what appears to be a dark cloud moving rapidly in your direction. As it draws nearer, you see that it is not a cloud, but rather a group of flying creatures. Several dozen of these creatures stop and hover just over your head. They look like serpents and are colored in every hue of the rainbow. One particularly large red serpent flies near you. The creature has 6 wings, and the entire length of his body is covered with eyes. When it speaks, you realize that it is the archangel of Geburah in his persona as Kamael Seraphael, leader of the angelic hosts of the 5th Sephirah. Kamael speaks.
We are the seraphim, the fiery serpents, the flaming ones, the order of angels associated with the seer of Geburah. We are the maintainers of discipline and the rewarders of dedication. Our work is to limit, to define, to control. Limitation brings unity. We guard the extraordinary and the dangerous mysteries concerning the nature of the Kilfaroth. Our primary duty is one of purification. And we bestow the power of focused concentration, which brings unity. It is also our duty to enforce the divine will. We are the spirits of tough love, who teach through pain, the great spiritual motivator. We do not expect you to fully understand or appreciate our methods, just as a child does not understand the reasoning behind the parents' methods of discipline and punishment. We are the guardians of the gates of the universe and the guardians of this mystic sphere. We keep far removed the evil and the unbalanced.
Suddenly, one of the seraphim flies down and bites you on the shoulder. You drop to your knees in agony as the serpent's venom spreads through your body. Fighting back tears of pain, you watch in amazement as something begins to emerge from your wound. A black cloud in the shape of a large spider pulls itself out of your shoulder, drops onto the ground, and begins to crawl away.
That had to be banished, Kamael speaks to you, before you could progress any further.
The bite wound on your shoulder quickly heals. Soon it is completely gone.
It is written, if the pillar of mercy were separated from that of judgment, the vault of the temple would fall. Blessed are they who have entered into the place of darkness and out of the shadow of death. Come forth alive. The sacrifice is complete. Let none resist the will of the gods.
The seraphim began to roar like lions. It's a deafening sound that causes you to cover your ears with your hands. There is a blinding flash of light, and the seraphim are then gone. You find yourself standing on an island in the middle of the Nile Delta. It is noon, and the sun in its strength is directly overhead. The heat of its rays beat down mercilessly on your skin. To your right, you see a mighty army of hawks, lions, and winged cobras. At their head is a magnificent god, Horus, a hawk-headed son of Osiris. His golden skin shines in the brilliant sunlight. The god stands in the chariot pulled by the sphinxes, and he holds a great spear in his hand. The god is young but well-muscled from years of training as a warrior. His black hawk's eyes stare coldly, without emotion, at his opponent on the other side of the island. He is well aware of his place and duty. He is here to fight, to avenge his father's death, and to restore justice and honor to the kingdom of Egypt. To your left, you see another army, headed by the evil god Set, lord of the howling desert wind. His skin is the color of sour milk, and his hair the color of blood. After he murdered his brother Osiris, Set seized control of the throne. But Set is a cruel monarch, and under his rule, the people have suffered greatly. Now overlooking the battlefield, Set's forked tail twitches with agitation. Set will stop at nothing to keep himself in power. With his camel-like snout, he snorts his contempt at the hawk-headed god.
Directly in front of you is an assembly of seated figures, the divine tribunal of gods who have gathered to settle the dispute between Horus and Set, the two rival claimants to the throne of Osiris. The gods Re, Atum, Khafra, Hathor, Neith, and Thoth are there along with other gods. The tribunal will pass judgment and decide once and for all who is to be king over Egypt and assume the throne vacated when Osiris left his earthly realm to rule over the land of Amenti. Isis and Nephthys are there as well. The great goddess Isis has not forgotten how her husband Osiris was foully betrayed and murdered by Set. She will do all she can to see that her son Horus, the rightful heir to the throne of Egypt, is restored to power. Various lesser gods plead the case of Horus to the tribunal. Other gods, followers of evil one, implore the council to rule in Set's favor. But earlier, the clever Osiris had tricked Set into admitting that a direct descendant of Osiris had a greater claim to the throne than anyone else. Laying all the evidence, the tribunal confers the crown of Egypt on Horus, the son of Osiris.
The evil god Set is enraged by this decision. He refuses to acknowledge the god's judgment. Then and there, he challenges the young god in hand-to-hand combat. Horus descends from his chariot to meet Set in battle. Set charges at him with a terrible cry of fury. When the two come together in the middle of the field, a crack of thunder is heard throughout the two lands. Set is a formidable opponent, but he has grown fat and lazy from years of uncontested rule over the land. Horus, though inexperienced in battle, is young and strong. The hawk-headed god soon has the upper hand. He wrestles Set to the ground. When he realizes he cannot beat Horus in a fair fight, Set throws sand into Horus's eyes. Then the evil one tears out the eyes of the younger god and buries them. The goddess Hathor takes pity on the wounded Horus. She pours gazelle's milk into the eye sockets to restore his sight. Set tries every deception he can think of to prevail against the son of Osiris. He even pretends to call a truce over a feast and suggests that he and Horus rule Egypt together. When his treachery is discovered, Horus returns the favor, making Set look foolish in front of the assembly of gods.
Then the great battle begins in earnest. The armies of Horus and Set rush forward to meet each other in combat. The struggle between the two gods rages on as well. The two combatants fight savagely. At one point, they both transform themselves into bears, biting and swiping at each other's faces. When Horus's troops begin to rout the enemy, Set's followers desert him, turning themselves into crocodiles and hippopotami. They take to the water and flee, but Horus and his followers have lances and chains made of iron. They slay Set's evil army of crocodiles and hippopotami in such numbers that the river Nile runs red with blood, and the riverbank is covered with their bodies. The great god Horus changes himself into a lion and tears out the tongues of over 100 of Set's compatriots, so that their lives will never again offend the ears of the gods. The evil one, seeing that the tide of battle is turning against him, also flees. But Set has many followers who escape down the river. vowing to take vengeance on the sun god Ra and the head of the divine tribunal who casts judgment in favor of Horus.
The hawk-headed god enlists the powers of Thoth, the great god of magic, to help protect the ship of Re from his enemies. Then Horus takes to the sky and transforms himself into the great sun disk with the magnificent wings outstretched on either side. He takes with him the two serpent goddesses, Nekhebet and Uatchit, the twin cobras. Then Horus flies into the heavens and casts his rays on the Nile with such power that the followers of Set are confused. They turn their weapons against one another, not knowing the difference between friend or foe. Many are slain. Those who remain begin to attack the ship of Re in their fury, but the army of Horus thrashes them with weapons of iron. Horus, in his guise as the winged sun disk and armed with the burning rays of the midday sun, sets them ablaze with spears of light. The charred bodies of Set's evil creatures sink slowly under the waters of the Nile.
When Set sees the utter destruction of his companions, he cries out and curses with words of such foulness that the ears of all the gods were greatly offended. Then the mighty god Horus wounds the evil one with his glittering spear, pinning him to the ground by the neck. The hot-headed victor silences Set's foul mouth with a blow to the jaw from his heavy club. In defeat and humiliation, Set is brought back to the tribunal in chains. Horus would have killed him then and there, but the assembly of God rules against it. Set is not to be destroyed, but forever changed and held captive. Its evil will be checked and controlled by the will of the gods, whose ways are just and merciful.
After the judgment, Horus returned to the temples of his father Osiris to assume his rightful place as the king of Egypt. Accompanied by his mother Isis and her sister Nephthys, he is greeted by throngs of his followers. In victory, he is seated on the throne and takes up the scepter of power. His praises are sung throughout the two lands of Egypt. You hear their joyful hymns.
Hail, Horus, defender of Re, son of Osiris, born of divine Isis. Horus that lifteth up his arm, Lord of reverence, who defies Set, who has reduced the might of Set to silence. A warrior among gods, avenger of Osiris, protector of Egypt. The gods rejoice at the wise judgment of Ra and Atum, who presided over the divine council, who hath given his command to Horus, son of Isis, that he should govern Egypt, and that the near and nourish its multitude, with a strong arm to protect his people from evil and keep them from harm. This is the Lord of the gods. This is the Lord of the universe. This is he whom the winds fear. This is he who has distinguished between the just and the unjust. This is he who, having made the voice by his commandment, is the Lord of all things, king, ruler, and helper.
From his throne, the hawk-headed one speaks. I am he, the strong and immortal fire. I am he, the truth. I am he who hates that evil should be wrought in the world. I am he that lighteneth and thundereth. I am he from whom is the shower of the life of earth. I am he whose mouth ever flameth. I am he, the begetter and the manifester under the light. I am he, the grace of the world. The heart girt with serpent is my name. The vision of Horus fades, and you find yourself once again in the astral temple of Geburah, facing the archangel Kamael across the ruby altar. Kamael has resumed his human appearance, dressed in red armor. He addresses you.
Remember well the lessons of this mystic sphere. Keep far removed from evil and the unbalanced, but always do so with justice, not malice. Avoid the extremes of elitism, oppression, and cruelty. Strengthen and inspire yourself so you may preserve your soul and keep unsullied your abode of the mysteries of the eternal gods. Let your sphere be pure and holy, so that you may enter into and become a partaker of the secrets of the divine light.
You thank the Archangel Camael for his insights into the fearsome realm of Geburah. Then you quickly descend the green path, Evlamed, and go to Tippereth. Taking the path of Samek, you descend to Yesod, and from there you traverse the path of Tal into Malkuth. The Archangel Sandalphon seals the door behind you. Facing the portal to the waking world, you give the projection sign and step through to the physical realm. Once you reach the other side, you give the sign of silence.
The gate of return. I open the gates between worlds. I invoke the call, which shall inspire us to return to the waking world. I open the gates between worlds. I invoke the fierce guardian. We must separate truth from illusion and take with us that which is of value we have learned herein. I open the gates between worlds and I invoke the ordeal. We must translate the personal to the universal and use it to revivify the entire world. I open the gates between worlds. I open the gate of return. We shall come forth by day. We thank the Uriel for your grounding. We thank you, Gabriel, for the ecstatic states you lift us to. We thank thee, Michael, for your guidance and illumination. We thank thee, Raphael, for your equanimity and balance.
By this merit, all sentient beings know peace.
The rite is complete. Free, sit in meditation. Thank you all. See you next week.